Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Today is Monday, September 3rd, Labor Day. Happy holiday. Happy holiday, everybody. This podcast is late again because I can't seem to get my travel. I can't get it together. What do you call that? I can't get it fucking syncopated. What's the word I'm looking for? In sync. I can't get it in sync with my travel schedule, the podcast. I'm all delirious. Just got off a plane from Minnesota. Great weekend at the House of Comedy. Thanks to all the Del Raisers that came out, new and old. And, yeah, man, the Mall of America. Whew, God, had to get out of there, man. Just sucking fake air for 3 days. It was like Biodome. Oh my God. Anyway, some great shows, great crowds. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for coming out. And yeah, man, just chilling on the couch right now. I'm here in New York, and oh my God. I don't know if you guys saw my Conan set, but I do that bit about the winter. Everybody talks about the New York winters. I'm telling you, man, I've been to New York. This is my third year of bouncing back and forth doing comedy. And the winters have not even come close to how rotten the summers are. I landed today. It was 92 degrees at 4 in the afternoon with 90% humidity or something like that. I'm completely fucking wet. My jeans, my shoes, my shirt, you can't have anything in your pockets. It just fucking melts, you know? Had a check in my pocket that I pretty much need to cash, and it's just smeared. It's just all, it just doesn't, you don't even know who the check's made out to. It's just fucking blurred. Oh, God. I'm telling you, man, I am not a humidity guy. I knew that years and years ago. When one time I went on a vacation to Florida, and I was like, oh, this fucking sucks. And here I am in New York all of, August and part of September. And just fucking no. A fistful of no. Oh, my God. Anyway. Love you guys, man. It's my 3-year anniversary of my motorcycle crash. So every year, when I wake up on this day, I go, oh, fuck yeah, I'm alive. So that's always an interesting day for me. I remember it like it was yesterday. So yeah, good to be here. Or as Keith Richards would say, good to be anywhere at my age. Oh, man. I was looking through this. I was on some website, and they had these old farmers, and they decked them out in like Supreme wear. I'm just bringing it up because it was so cool. It's proof that if you wear like cool clothes, you don't really ever kind of age. You don't want to try to dress like like you're 16 or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I still wear the same shit as I did when I was 16, I guess, rock t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers or boots. But, I don't know. I was looking at this thing, and these old farmers were wearing like hip Supreme gear, and they looked fucking cool. I'm just bringing it up because I saw it on my flight home. They just looked badass. They actually looked like dudes I wouldn't fuck with. They were like these old dudes, but they were wearing, streetwear. They looked like they'd just start like riding half pipes. Oh, man. Look it up, like farmers in Supreme wear, and check it out. It was so cool to see. I got a little news for you guys. I'm going to start doing a Thursday episode. I'm going to pick a topic, maybe a couple topics, and do a no guest, just a Del Rey spin on shit. And put it out on Thursdays on my Patreon for anybody that donates $5 or more a month, you'll have access to that. So it's going to be a Thursday episode. It won't be this week because I'm traveling, but it'll starting next week. And I think I might start with talking about the Metallica and Justice for All record, because they're getting ready to reissue that in a super box set. And of course, the long question is, will there be bass? And I've said this over and over. I hope not. I think Master of Puppets is an absolute masterpiece, exactly how it was put out. I love bands that put stuff out. That's what was going on in their mind at that time, and that's how it came out, and let's keep it that way. But we'll see. I wouldn't mind you put the original out, and then they're like, okay, and here's one with bass. You get a dual record set, whatever. I did read that they're releasing the Seattle Justice Tour. I think that comes in the super box, and I've often said this many times, that absolutely captures the insanity of that tour, that Seattle shoot from the, I think it's from the Binge and Purge or whatever box set. They did like San Diego, Seattle, and I think Long Beach. I saw that tour many times that couple of years, and it was incredible. So I'm looking forward to having that on some audio. That'll be awesome. Anyway, so yeah, patreon.com/Dean Del Rey if you want to be a Patreon member. I'm going to be doing some cool stuff on there. Speaking of Patreon, Mark Brunot is the king of Patreon. He is the mayor of the Del Raisers, the king of Patreon, the 1,000 true fan himself, Mark Brunot. Thank you, buddy. Also, brand new to the Patreon, Joseph K. Thank you. Daniel Brennan, popping it up. Thank you, buddy. Travis Chamberlain is in the house. Travis Chamberlain. Adam David Swain, thank you for your Patreon love. And also, this is something. Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to mention this because I think it's Adam David Swain. This is who it was. Travis Chamberlain. I want to get this right, because this man had DM'd me on Instagram, and he made a donation for his dog Roxy, a pug dog who he lost, which just fucking chewed me up. He said, I lost my dog Roxy, and we used to listen to your podcast together, and oh man, there is nothing more that eats me alive than somebody losing their dog. What a fucking drag. And this pug dog looked cool. I love pug dogs. My mom's had many pug dogs. Pug dog. That's how I always talk. It's a pug dog. Oh, man. Long live Roxy. What a bummer. Travis, thank you, man. Oh, God. Anyway, that sucks, man. All right. I love all you guys there for the donations. Brett Pickett also donating, coming in the house. What else going on here? I guess I'm just going to get in. A great guest today, by the way. I've spent quite a bit of time out in New York, and I've gotten to know a lot of the New York comics, and I've been hanging out with some very, very cool guys, including my guest today, Mr. Sam Morril. He's got a podcast. He's got a podcast. Keeping Up with Joe, which I did. I'm going to be a guest here in a couple of weeks. But more important than that, he's got a Comedy Central special coming out on the 14th, a 1-hour special. And he stopped by here, and I don't always have a lot of comics on. When I do, it's somebody I respect and love, and think that they're amazing at what they do. And that is definitely Sam. He is an incredible comic and a good friend, and just definitely made me feel comfortable here in New York by hanging with him and Phil Hanley, Joe List, Mark Norman, a lot of the Cellar guys over there. Just just awesome, man. So he's my guest today, which is pretty cool. And I want you guys to watch his special. And this is a cool episode because sometimes I like to dig in and talk comedy with somebody, because I learn a lot from it. And also it's great to hear other people's process. Before I do that, let's get into some shows coming up. September 14th through the 15th, I will be in Richmond, Virginia with Bill Burr. September 16th, Charleston, South Carolina with Burr. September 28th, LA Forum with Burr. Today is what's today, the 3rd or something? I'm flying to LA on the 5th. I'll be in LA for about 3 weeks at the Comedy Store, probably most of the nights. And also going to go see Marcus King Band at the Troubadour and a few other great things. And maybe look at some guest houses while I'm out there. Something will bust. Anyway, I love all you guys. I love your support. And I hope you had a great 3-day weekend. Here we go. Candles Lit with Sam. All right, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let Me Talk. Fantastic guest today. Here we are live in New York City. Introduce yourself.
Hey, Dean. How are you? Sam Morril here.
On your birthday.
It's my birthday, man.
Happy birthday.
I don't think much of those things really. So it's like people are like, we should do something, and I'm like, well, I just want to do what I would regularly do.
Yeah. Comedy. It's like when you're doing comedy, it's like every day's your birthday.
Yeah, it's just life is good. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so good. How old are you?
32.
32. Yeah. Fuck, I wish I was 32. I'm 20 years older than you.
I know you look younger though.
I'm 52.
Yeah, and you got a much more youthful haircut than I do.
Yeah.
I have like an old man Elliot Gould thing going on, and you have like the rocker thing.
Well, this is the first time my hair has probably looked good in years. It's so funny because I just posted this photo, and my hair, I basically had like what I would call Pete Rose hair.
Oh no!
Where I had long hair forever and it looked great, and then I cut it and never knew what to do. Look at this. Oh my god, that's horrible.
You look like an Asian boy in kindergarten. It's like his class, minus the jacket, obviously.
There's no bangs though. Look.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what I was doing.
Yeah, that's a weird dude. You've gone through weird phases. Like I've only known you like this, and you show me pictures, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, because I just could never really figure out what to do with my hair because it was just kind of like it was like Greg Allman or Black Crows for years, just straight blonde, and I loved it. It was just like gangster. And then I was like, you get to a certain age, you're like, this is out of here. You know what I mean? And so I shaved it off, and I had it shaved for years, which I love. When you're riding a motorcycle, you just throw your helmet on. But I found that like shaved head, sometimes when I'd be doing mean material, they'd be like, this guy's a Nazi or something. I mean, not I don't do any Nazi material.
You're the chillest Nazi voice ever.
But it was just weird, you know what I mean? It was like, now I could probably do it because I have more confidence. But at the beginning, I was like, I'll just grow it out. And then I just kind of had like, I don't know what my look was.
That's the best part of getting older each year is that like you really just, I think you just become more attractive because you're more sure of who you are.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I don't know. I think people, as they get older, I always find attractive. Like, I like older women,
Well, also, if you're not trying to meet women like me, I've tapped out. I'm just comedy guy. Then you don't even care what you look like. I was doing this bit where I was like, I didn't know what I looked like for like 2 years. And then Instagram came around, and I was like, oh, I look like shit. You know what I mean?
You were killing in those Twitter days. But
yeah, I was killing.
Yeah, it's weird. Once you see, like, I don't know. Like, I definitely, like, I just found out like a week ago that I'm not shaving properly.
Really?
I remember I did a sports show like it must have been like 7 years ago. Chris Stefano and Giannis Papas, two really funny dudes, had a sports show, and I was like a talking head on the New York sports show. And it was one day of shooting for the whole year, and I just didn't know how to shave, so I just shaved my neck like violently, and I just had like red blotches all over my neck.
And shit.
They didn't do makeup, so every episode I just look horrible. I see it pop on, I'm like, oh my god, what was I doing? So I just found out like a year ago you're supposed to shave the bottom of your neck.
Oh yeah, shave up too.
Yeah, but I just found out you're supposed to do I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh yeah. You just had the hair down down to the shirt and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
Well, D'Elia goes that. He's just like,
Does he?
He just goes like animal neck.
I guess he's kind of got the swagger to pull it off. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm running a bodega or something when
That's
I do
funny.
that, you know?
That's funny, man. What? Now I met you in New York, which is great. I've been having an incredible summer here. I've been here 3 summers, but this is the first summer I really feel like, oh, I'm at the Cellar and I'm with you guys, you, Joe Liss, Phil, Joe Mackey, Keith Robinson. These are the guys I'm hanging out with.
Keith is such an important Cellar figure to me because he's like the first guy I met on my audition night, and I knew who he was, but I remember that audition being nerve-wracking. It was probably, I think it was 2011, and I really had nothing going on. Gary Goldman, a great comic, just like, I featured for him on the road, and he was like, I'm going to wreck you at the Cellar. And I was like, all right.
Wow.
And then I went in there, and the first thing I see is I sit down, and I'm visibly nervous. I remember Nikki Glazer was there, and she was like, you're going to be great. She's being like really sweet. And then Keith Rob, and we were already friends, so she was just trying to distract me. And then Keith Robinson chimed in, and he goes, look how scared he is.
You're gonna stink. You're gonna stink.
It was funny too, because like just like maybe like a year ago, I had been it's probably more than that, but it was Keith was the comic strip in Uptown Club used to do a lottery show, and I was already passed for late night, but they made me re-audition for judges like American Idol style. It was awful. It was humiliating.
Hilarious.
But Keith was one of the judges, and I remember him putting me over, and he didn't remember me, but to me that was like huge. I was like, I'm working a club now. So.
Yeah, wow. Oh, now, where are you from?
I'm from New York City.
Oh, you're from here?
Yeah.
Well, rad. What neighborhood?
Originally Chelsea, then the Upper East Side.
Wow.
And now I'm an Upper West Sider.
Are your parents rich?
My dad's pretty well off. Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah. I feel weird
You kind of
saying.
have that vibe, though.
Do I?
Well, you're not like a rich kid, but I could tell that you're not worried. You know what I mean?
Well, I am worried. That's not true.
You keep it pushed down there, which is good.
I definitely do.
Because you always seem pretty, like, hey, it's all going to be good, which is good to have around sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm like that also.
I don't know if I have that. I
No?
think that maybe I have that.
Maybe just around me.
I think in the last couple years I've calmed down a little bit because things have gone a little better. But no, I came from a family. I was, my mom was raising me on her own. Then she married a guy who had, who's my dad. He's a great dad. And then his kids are just absurd overachievers. That's my stepbrother and stepsister. Harvard Law, Columbia Law.
Whoa, yeah.
Lawyers, litigator. So. No, I felt extreme pressure and like I was the black sheep forever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though. And now, how long you been doing comedy?
Since I started when I was 18.
And wow. And you remember what club you started at? Of course you do.
The comic strip.
Comic strip.
Yeah.
And who were your guys when you're back then? Is it like, what gets you into it,
Well, I remember when we were like in high school, we'd like had to be this like locker room area, and I was always just playing stand up for people because I was like, "This is so great! Look at this!" And like no one gave a shit but me.
Yeah.
But I remember I like loved jokes. So Carlin, Chris Rock, Dangerfield, Dave Attell.
Yeah.
I like Mitch Hedberg, a bunch of people for different reasons.
Yeah, right.
But,
Bill Hicks, you into Hicks?
Yeah, dude. You know what's crazy is Hicks's stuff just stays relevant.
Oh, it's nuts, right?
Especially because he had all that Bush Senior stuff, and then Bush Junior. Like, wow, history repeats itself.
Yeah, right.
So he had so much great stuff. Sometimes I'll throw him on Pandora, and you just kind of jump all over the place, and you get so many great tracks.
I wish he was alive right now, just so we could hear some stuff he'd be lighting up right now. Ooh, imagine him with a podcast too.
Bill Hicks, yeah.
His podcast would be great.
He kind of could have gone the Bill Maher route, and it could have been totally different.
I believe that, yeah. I believe that.
Yeah, he was... So my only thing with Hicks, and I'm obviously a big fan, I didn't like it as much. I liked when he was silly and the joke came first as opposed to when he got a little self-righteous.
Right.
I just don't... we're comics. Even if you're tackling hard shit, I like keeping it silly,
Well, it's a lot like Lenny Bruce,
Totally.
Once he gets into the arrest and all his shows are just about reading like, document 314,
right.
section penalty code 966. People were kind of, if you watch that old footage, they're kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? But
totally.
he was saying some shit, but yeah, I get it.
No, he was great. It's interesting though. You bring up Lenny Bruce, and it's like guys like there was Lenny Bruce, and then there was like Mort Saul, and there were these. They were like the political comics of their day, and now you go on Twitter, and everyone's a political comic.
Yeah,
and not even a lot of them aren't even making jokes. Like these are a lot of comedians now, and you're like, you can be a person sometimes, but it's just weird to me how many people identify as comedians now, and you're like, well, I don't even see you trying.
Yeah. It's funny because I saw a comment on my Conan set, and the guy said, "Finally, a guy on here not doing Trump jokes," And it was like, like I said, whoever you voted for or whatever, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't care.
You're starting to sound a lot like Trump.
No, but you know what I mean. Like I'm here to for the artistic thing of it.
We're entertainers, and if there are people that want to do that, great. But it's such an oversaturated field now, and then that subject is so. It feels overdone because we have like 7 or 8 late night shows, and they're all
covering it,
and they're all leftist, and then on top of that, it's like the same story, the same jokes. It's just, and then a comic's going to come on and do Trump jokes too. It's good when, look, if you have a great Trump joke, do it. But
hell yeah.
But I think there's better ways to stand out.
Well, I always said that the late night people have like 5 to 10 killer writers in there writing every day, and they've got it covered. And if you're just spending time trying to write these jokes that are burned up in a week, like any topical shit, by the time you go to do it 2 weeks later, it's already old news. So just concentrate on writing some, stuff you can use for a few years.
It's funny. My mom will say stuff to me like, "Why don't you do stuff like they do in the Daily Show?" And I'm just like, "Well, for one thing, I'm trying to be funny." And no, they've got. Obviously a lot of funny people in there, but she'll say something like that. I'm like, well, they have a whole team of writers.
Yeah.
It's like, by the time I hone this and work in the clubs, it might not be as relevant. So that's why I want to go by subjects as opposed to headlines,
Absolutely. Now, you've been doing comedy for many years, and you've got a special getting ready to come out. Is this your first special?
I did a half hour and an album for Comedy Central a few years ago, like 3 years ago. And then this is, there's an hour.
Wow, man. Is it on Comedy Central?
Yeah.
Where'd you shoot it at?
This theater in Brooklyn called Roulette. And
it's
right by the Barclays Center.
Right?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. The guy, Tom Lenz, who's the art designer, he just made it look insanely cool. Looks like an Empire State Building behind me. It looks nice. How
long were you working the material? A couple years?
Yeah, I would say so. You're on the road a lot. You're like making sure it hits in all the markets. And, not like you're going to change it because, maybe it didn't hit in Syracuse or something, but you do want to make sure that it's got a good enough batting average,
Absolutely. That's why the road is so important, a balance. So, because the shit could be great at the cellar, and then you get out because that's a comedy crowd that's getting it, and they're there for comedy. Then you get out to a papered room or something in middle America. I know.
It humbles you quickly, man.
Oh, it does. You're like, oh man, fuck you guys, man.
Yeah, people. You realize very quickly a lot of them aren't there for the show on the road sometimes, and you're like, well, what the fuck else do you have to do in Albany?
Yeah.
No offense to Albany.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like this is a cool thing to be a part of. And then you look at the crowd sometimes and people are just on their phones and you're like, why did you come?
Yeah, I would never go do something that I didn't want to do or was like bored at. I would just get up and leave. But people will just sit through it and text and, it's bizarre.
It doesn't feel good, but it's also like that does make it's funny.
Toughs you up.
Yeah, you do those road gigs, and that's why sometimes they'll say we can get you a shorter weekend. I'm like, I want the reps. I want to come back stronger. Like you come back with all these tags on jokes because they're not hitting. Like that's when you tag a joke when the joke doesn't get what you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes the crowd's hot and you keep going, but a lot of the best tags I think we get are from when the crowd's not with us.
Oh yeah, it's like panicking.
Yeah.
So you're just throwing the next thing out there. Something's got to hit.
It's muscle memory, man. We train ourselves, enough that you're like, okay, this might, sink or swim. Let's do this.
How do you write? Do you write on stage or you sit around and write jokes?
I write jokes.
Yeah.
I put them in Word documents and in notebooks and I email to myself and I read them before and then I'll try them. Like I've been writing more in chunks lately. It used to be a lot of like 3-liners and bail, and now it's more like I'll listen to sets and I'm like, all right, I can keep going on that here, I can keep going on that here, because sometimes I just don't know what else to do, but I gotta feel productive. I gotta
dig
work
into it.
And also, like, if you're not writing, you just don't you feel like this is like this weird thing where, like, if you're not all in, you miss a day, you're like, fuck, I'm rusty.
I fucking hate it.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, when I went to go do the Conan set, I flew into LA. And it was the next day, so I went to the store and got to do 2 spots, and then I'm shooting it the next.
How did the spots go?
The spots went great, which was pretty good, because at the Cellar it was on and off, but on the night before I did like 7. I ran it 7 times at the Cellar.
Wow,
then I flew into LA.
That's nice.
I got lucky. Yeah, it was a Saturday. So I was just popping in on shows doing 5, 5, 5. Then I flew into LA, and on the way to LA, I realized this one part wasn't hitting at the top, and I was just forcing it. So I was like, I'm cutting this. And when I cut it, it got a little tighter, and it also was immediately up and running because I do this Craigslist joke, and it would kill all the time, and sometimes it wasn't killing. On Saturday night, it wasn't. And I was like, all right, I got to get rid of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, sometimes just running in the ground. They're so cool at Conan about letting you cut stuff.
Yeah.
I think every time I've done it, I've made a change like the day before, and he's been like, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's TBS. They're kind of just like laid back. I don't know.
I loved it. It was like an artist colony. You know what I mean?
Well, you were on with 2 comics, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Isn't that cool?
It was like having the Comedy Store there. It
So
was
cool.
really bizarre. And then all my friends came down. Burr came down, and Ian Edwards, and Kevin Christie. So it was like we were at the Comedy Store in the hallway.
Yeah, that's wild. I was on with Burr once. It was all comic. It was Bill Hader, Bill Burr, and me, and that was a really fun one.
Yeah, it's
following someone that good is always fun, because it's like, well, he's going to push it a little bit, so nothing I say is going to be shocking.
That's exactly what I thought.
So much better than following just like some actor.
Oh, yeah, like a teen actor on a Disney show, and the whole audience is there to see him. Like they found out that like some, Jimmy the kid from such and such show. You're like, oh, no.
I know.
And the moms are out there, and then you're on? Oh, man. Like old Ed Sullivan days shit.
It's already a little unnatural, but of all the late nights, Conan's the most natural because you're not censoring as much. Like CBS or NBC or ABC, the stuff they make you do to your set, I'm like, do you not want me here?
I know. Yeah, Mark Norman had a phenomenal edgy set a couple weeks ago on Fallon, and I was like, oh wow, they let him say some stuff. And I
think they're seeing like certain comics. I think they just want on.
Yeah,
they know Mark's a good comic, but yeah, he walked the line really well.
It was great. And a few weeks before that, they had Slayer on, which is way like, what, Slayer on the Tonight Show?
But also, it's like it's 2018, man.
Know,
like, what are we doing? Like,
what are we doing?
It's so hilarious that we're like, you can't. I remember Nick Griffin, who's a great comic, had a Letterman set, and he had a joke I love where he said, "Young girls are filled with sugar and spice and everything nice, and I'm filled with anger and semen and shame." It's just a funny line. And Letterman made him change it to anger and Prozac and shame.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, semen, first off, is a clinical term, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's so weird.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty bizarre.
I'm doing Fallon in a couple weeks, and they're letting me say almost everything I want to say. They cut one joke, but I was like, they tried to change it. I was like, just cut it.
Are you doing it to promote the special?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that is good.
It's just like you want it to be representative of you. And sometimes, it's already not where we do it. So it's already like we're not used to performing in this environment. But, you know.
5:30 in the afternoon.
It's weird.
It is weird with cameras in front of your face and stuff where some people aren't even seeing your expressions.
Yeah.
I loved it. Actually, it became a new addiction of mine of like, I want to really kill on one of these. Because when I was walking on, I was thinking more of, it was funny because I love to read the comments, like some people are like, the comments are exactly what America is. It's just a garbage can out there. So I was reading the comments on mine. And I like to read it because once in a while they'll push me, like
in what way?
To get better, like, But when they're just dumb, like this guy looks like Tom Arnold. It's just like, yeah, you're a fucking, no wonder you're not a But there was one guy, he was like, yeah, I can't believe they call this comedy with people like Patrice O'Neill and, such and such and such. Yeah, those guys are like 20-year pros, and I love them too, you idiots. Those are the guys I look up to,
It's also such a silly thing to do, to be like, would you comment on a music video like, oh, this is no Beatles?
Yeah, I
It's
know,
like,
right?
well, there's other types of comedy, like this might not be for you.
And there's also other levels in the career.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is people evolve and they get better, and you're remembering Patrice at his peak, but there are videos of Patrice where he wasn't great.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, has their coming up stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with YouTube, people will post it up. Like everybody used to always go, like, "How come you don't put any videos up?" And I was like, "Why?" It's like just come to the show. Or, because other than that, it's just it's a dartboard. People are just throwing shit at it.
Isn't that crazy that people do that? Like, you don't it's like just going to a movie blind.
Yeah.
I would never do that. At least read a review.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty wild,
It's
man.
so weird that people just show up. I had a woman at the Funny Bone a couple weeks ago really just lose it on me after the show. She got my face and she said, "I'm not a violent person, but I want to punch you in the throat."
Oh, yeah, I saw the video of that.
Yeah, I saw it. I posted. I blocked her face out.
Yeah.
But I was just like, well, you got a weird way of sounding nonviolent,
Yeah, I want to punch you in the
throat. And I was pretty calm because I can just tell she's upset, and I'm never really mean back. I'm just, clearly her night was ruined, and that's too bad. And I just said, "Oh, I'm sorry you had a bad night."
Yeah.
And she was like, it's funny. She asked me, is this for real, or are you just going on stage to fuck with people? I'm like, how do you think I make a living if I was just trying to fuck with you? Like, it feels like she was messing with me, but you just have to just let them be, because people like that, she was there alone. Maybe, so there's some people who want that interaction.
Yeah.
There's some people that crave outrage. I mean, log on. I have to unplug from all this stuff, because look at Twitter. It's just people being so angry and other people being like, yes,
I know,
to that. And it's like, give it a minute.
Yeah.
Give it, like, think of it's like it's like when fighting with a partner and you just yell out of the gate. Sometimes you need to leave the room for a second and let it settle. And people don't do that with anything anymore.
Yeah, they don't. And also,
like maybe she felt bad the next day about what she said to me. Maybe not, but
yeah, it's like they care so much about that. It's like, go out and do something else. It was recently I posted up a tweet where I said everybody's all up in arms about the straws all of a sudden. It's always just people are like crazy on straws, and I'm all, but they'll just throw their cigarette butts on the ground.
Right.
No fucking problem. And I said that, and then yesterday they tweeted up some out of nowhere, which is weird. I guess there was 60 billion or something cigarette butts collected since 2012. Like, cigarette butts, no one gives a fuck about. But my point is, people pick something to just like
straws are easier to quit.
On. Yeah, it's like straws, and it's like, what about everything else? Just pick something.
But people want that thing. They want, like, there's that thing that you're furious about that you knew was like a problem 10 seconds ago. It's like Cecil the Lion. Everyone was so angry, and they're like, you didn't give a shit about lions 10 minutes ago.
I know. Yeah.
But it's addictive. It makes you feel good. And that's what this Twitter and this is what a lot of the social media is now. It's like it elevates you above other people. I mean, you can be upset and not write 50 tweets about it.
Yeah.
But again, it is also your right to do that. I don't know. I go back and forth, but it's just everything is just, maybe it's just so
it's hyper fucking sensitive now too. Everybody's just like, I think because of social media, they have a voice now, they feel.
Well, they think they have a duty. They think we're all waiting for their take.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, something happened, I must weigh in. And it's like, you don't have to weigh in on every single thing.
Yeah.
You can. And my issue with comics doing it is like, I get so happy when I see a comic weigh in and take a shot at him. Take a fucking shot at him, but be funny. Like Andy Haynes did a funny joke about it on Twitter,
where
he said, I was molested by my babysitter when I was 8, but my parents kept using him because he was the best babysitter ever.
It was the cheapest would be better. That'd be great.
It was like, I get happy when we use our comedy as a weapon rather than just being an echo chamber and saying the exact same thing that everyone's saying. You know, you got in this to be original, and people are not being original. And I think you can get your point across using this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I'll tell you, 5 years ago, when I've been doing comedy 8.5 years ago, 8.5 years now, and 5 years
Do you
ago.
ever think that that's amazing that you started when you were 44 and you're doing this well?
It's so nuts, dude. It's like when I did Conan, I don't even really remember it. It's kind of like skydiving.
It's a blur.
Because to me, when I, started, I was like, I never, ever thought I would be where I'm at now. And also, though, I never thought that it would grab me this hard and I would work my ass. I've never worked this hard in my life. And I played music for years and worked pretty damn hard. I never thought I would work this hard. Like, I work 7 days a week, podcasting, comedy, writing, auditioning, booking flights, booking gigs, no manager, no agent. You know what I mean? So it's just nuts to think. When I walked on Conan, I was like, wow, 52, I'm doing Conan. You know what I mean?
It's wild.
I know. I told him, I said, man, this is my first TV spot. And he was like, no way, man. You were so comfortable. I was like, oh.
Well, you've done so many sets in a limited amount of time.
It was wild. It is wild, though. Passed at the Cellar and the Store.
Yeah.
Doing comedy in the best rooms in America, the 2 best rooms.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I have to stop and think that life is pretty good, I mean, it's definitely a career that, like, as you said, it's harder than I ever thought it would be. Like, I got into it because I was maybe for the wrong reasons at the time. And then, later on, you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I had to work this hard just to be like, okay at this.
Yeah.
Like if you miss a day, like I've never taken a fucking vacation.
Yeah, never.
I'm just terrified.
Yeah, because it's weird because you just kind of like go to do it and it just blah, 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 blah. It's not like a natural thing that we're doing. You know what I mean?
But also, that being said, you got to live life and you got to.
That's what Bird told me after 2 years. He's like, dude, you're just going to write about everything you see at the comedy store.
Exactly. What are you going to write every joke about the coffee shop?
Yeah, right. So he was like, you got to take some time off. So that weekend I went and saw My Morning Jacket in Santa Barbara at the Santa Barbara Bowl. And I was there and I was like, oh, wow, it's been so long since I've done something like this. And then my brain
That's funny if all your jokes just become about music then.
Yeah. Well, my brain just kicked up and I was writing all kinds of stuff that I would have never done,
It's important to be inspired, not just in comedy, but like see a great movie, see like a great art exhibit, do anything, read a great book, watch a great TV show. Sometimes you just have to do anything that you're like, oh, that was so well done. I got to kick it up a notch. Sometimes I forget to watch comedy at the club. Like, we're there so much we get jaded. And you're like, no, I'm around great comics. I should be taking some of this in.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a great inspiration, Like, you're watching guys and you're like, wow. Like, I really loved coming to New York because it's a different animal. And I'm hanging out with you guys. And I love the... I love the vibe, you know what I mean? And watching these guys, like, the jokes are a little more punched up in New York. So if I could do a combo...
We're doing more sets, though. I think that's why, don't you think?
Well, a lot
or do you think that's just a style?
A lot of people say that, but once you get to a certain level, you can do as many sets as you want in L.A.
True.
Those guys on the Comedy Store list, like there's 10 dudes... if you look at them, they can all just do all 3 clubs every night if they wanted and do multiple sets. But coming up, it's different for sure. One of the main things
do they get to work out and kind of do whatever they want, those guys?
Oh, yeah, totally. And, that's why I would love to do the new joke night at the Cellar because then I'm not worried about, like right now I'm in that mode where I must kill at all times.
I hate when people come in and watch me. I'm like, these are shitty. I just said that up top. Sometimes you see comics just hanging on the stairs. You're like, come on, dude.
Yeah, it's I love it out here, man.
Well, the new joke night has been huge because it's like, oh, you need stuff to write for, and like you hate traveling. Like you go deep into Brooklyn or Queens, wherever you go to run a set, and you're like, did I just come all the way here to just bomb for 7 people that didn't give a shit?
Yeah.
Like I've done multiple shows in this month in places without air conditioning. I'm like, dude, it's a heat wave. It's 97 degrees.
It's crazy right
like,
now.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to perform in a fucking sweatshop, you know?
Oh God, I can't believe this heat. I wasn't prepared for like
No one is, man.
a month of straight heat.
Ugh.
Like it reminds me of that. What was the Spike Lee?
Do the right thing. I was just thinking about that.
Where
oh
you're
my
just
God.
feeling the heat,
You wanna-
the
yeah.
whole time. And also Son of Sam, that era, because it was the hottest summer in New York that year. And it probably doesn't even come close to what we got now.
It's pretty weird. And you're like, traveling in New York, like whatever class you are, rich, poor, whatever, you're all on the subway. And it's kind of interesting, like last night I'm on the train. It's no air conditioning. I'm like, God damn it. So I'm like, all right, tough it out. Get to the club. There'll be air conditioning. The place I go, the show's not air conditioned. I'm like, I needed something.
Oh my God.
I needed a little energy.
Yeah.
Because it puts you to sleep too.
It does. What was it like growing up in New York? What school did you go to? You go to like...
I went to a private school called Browning in Midtown. It was interesting. I wore a blazer to school. That was kind of weird.
Oh yeah, like the.
I dressed better as a kid than I do now.
Like the Angus one, yeah, with the school crest on it and stuff.
Yeah, no, it was just a regular one, but it was good, man. I mean, it was not as crazy as you think. You do what everyone does: see movies, go to the park, which was great.
Yeah,
I had weird traditions. I do a lot of the same stuff I do now. Like we'd go to the movie theater in Times Square and just double up.
Yeah.
On a Friday after
I do
school
that
or something.
too.
Yeah, I don't know. It was great. I loved it. My mom is a really intelligent woman, so she would really just kind of just make sure I got a lot out of being here. Like,
Was your mom gone?
No, she's.
Because you're like my mom was.
Oh, I didn't mean to say
shit,
was.
Is your mom gone?
She became stupid last week, and she was very, like, she's so into, going to the Met or going to the, what, and she's
love
like,
that
you
stuff.
need to see this show, this movie. I'd be like, all right.
That's great. Just
I talked to her about a movie today. And I was just like, oh, I love that she's like that. She'll have really original insight. Like I love that she does. I love that my mom doesn't have hacky takes.
Yeah. I love when parents steer you into stuff you don't even realize later on is going to be so big to you. Like my mom would play the Carole King, Tapestry record.
Wow, I love that. I love that
that's
album.
such a masterpiece, man. And now
What incredible writing.
right? And that's a record that is such a thing. I call
She
it
really
the Sunday
got
morning record.
fucked over by that guy, man.
Just fucking
What a dick.
The whole record is just brutal, right?
Ugh.
I'd like to write a comedy special that had that kind of magnitude.
Yeah.
Where you're like, wow.
That just kind of heartbreaking.
Well, something that
Will You
makes
Still Love Me Tomorrow?
feel
That's on
that
there, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that one, like, it makes you feel. But that's the thing about comedy now is like, just silly specials can make you feel something. Like I watch Dangerfield and I'm like, these are just fucking hilarious jokes.
Oh, that guy's crazy.
But then there's like, the way with comedies going now where, it's getting experimental and that's cool too. Cause it's like,
Yep.
I think most things that happen are good in comedy because it's bringing more people to comedy. So whether it be some weird experimental thing like that Drew Michael thing where
No
I didn't
crowd?
see it, no crowd, or whether it be like originality is good. And if it misses, it misses. And if it hits, it's a cool thing that people talk. Worst case, people talk about it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's always great,
But like, what are specials that inspire you? Like, what in comedy? Like, you mean you want a special that makes you feel like emotional in a way?
Well, something that you take away with I think, when you look at some of the greatest specials, like to me, it's the prior one in the red suit at
talks
Long
about
Beach.
freebasing and stuff.
That's Sunset Strip. The
Yeah,
one
yeah.
about the hunting. Did you bring the gun? I thought you
right,
had the
right.
gun. I love that. I love,
What do you love about it?
what I loved about that was, and it's really kind of the comedy that I love, is and I want to try to get to this level, and I'm going to try to do it coming up. It's harder in New York, but I love storytelling comedy where they're these journeys where they're taking you somewhere and they're funny all the way through to where no one could go, well, he just stole that joke from blah, blah, blah. These are life
right?
tales.
It's a tough time to be an observational comic because it's like, people will just take them. I mean, I remember a joke I did on Conan once and someone just made it into a meme and I was like, it was the fat Jewish guy. And I'm like, where the fuck do you get off thinking that's okay?
Yeah.
It's intellectual property theft.
Yeah.
And he's done it to Michael Che, did to a bunch of people, I remember. But like all those meme guys, it's like, it's a hard time to have. I love observational jokes. I love to be thinking about something that everyone can either connect to or maybe that a thought everyone had that no one put into words quite that way.
Yeah.
I love that recognition laugh followed by a few more punchlines. That something about that feels really good to me.
Yeah, I do love that too.
So but it's a tough time because so many people, you're like, this person had something, and you're like, well, that's not similar, but I can't do it now, I feel like, because whatever. And then, so what you say about this storytelling it's a good point. It's, no one's going to have the exact same experience. And that's like, I think about someone like Jim Jeffries, who had that bit about taking the guy with muscular dystrophy to the brothel. And you're like, well, who the hell else has that story?
Right. And I think that's a journey because I've lived so long that people are like, well, you've done a lot of stuff. Let's hear some of the stories.
Yeah.
And then if I can just, and I think the only way you can really do that is if you could once you get to a certain level, you're able to go on the road and start to work those. Because you can't really work that at the cellar. You go in. I mean, Al Madrigal is one of the greatest storytelling comics I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he'll just take a 5. And I remember when he was doing, I think it was Conan, and he said, I'm just doing 5 about getting a day labor. And they were like, well, sometimes you want to do some other topics in case it doesn't hit. And he's like, no, this will hit. And then they saw it and they go, oh, yeah, you're definitely doing that. He has the
But
one
they're right
about
to be concerned, though, because I've seen stories take a dive like that in the late night. It's hard, but he's obviously
so good
a
at
gifted
it.
storyteller for
Right.
sure.
My original idea was I thought I was going to do Fallon and go on and just do 5 on music. And what I learned about doing that was a lot of people don't love music like I love music. So if they don't care about music, they don't care about the joke. It's
Right.
crazy. Now, my audience loves music, so when I'm doing it, they're like, that is incredible. But, you go downstairs at any comedy club, and you're going like, yeah, a lot of people say there's no good music anymore, and, I think there's no dangerous music. And as soon as I'm doing the setup, people are like, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, but I think you have the ability to make them care. Like maybe there's a way where you can make everyone care about, because everyone loves music.
Yeah, I think they do, but not to a point to where I think the bit works universally. Maybe I got to write it better is what
Maybe some bits aren't universal bits. I mean, some
Right.
bits can be in your hour and there'll be a little side thing for you that maybe your diehard fans will love.
Yeah,
But-
I believe that for sure. Some of the bits I always say that's for me,
Yeah, I think that's probably a way you build an audience, probably. I don't know. I definitely like to mix it up when I'm on the road. I like to have like one long story and then I like to do a lot of just jokes.
Right.
And maybe like throwing a hint of like social commentary stuff now, which I used to not do, but if I can keep it silly and fun, then it makes me happy to do. And then because I think about it, I'm like, we're all not one thing. Like I hang with you, you're not one thing. You
Right.
have a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different things. So when I see comics go one rhythm the whole time, like if you listen to a Dangerfield album, he does one-liners, but he breaks into crowd work. He does other stuff. Like that's the thing I think you first see when you first start headlining. You're like, oh, I have to like arc an hour. I didn't realize this is so different than a 15-minute set. You talk
So
about
different.
that New York pace of bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for an hour.
No.
I've done that. I've made that mistake, and I'm like,
You lose. 20 minutes in, they're out of laughs.
they're just tired.
Yeah.
You're demanding a lot. And we talk
Yeah.
about the attention span we're demanding. Some of these rooms don't care as much. Some do, but then it's like we're asking a lot. Like think of what we're demanding of a crowd.
1 hour, not look at your phone, not move, not take a piss, whatever, not order a drink. We're trying to get 1 hour of just you looking at me, the stranger.
But then when you go to a club like that does it right, you're like, that's the best feeling ever. But we're asking a lot. You go to a movie, I turn around, I see people texting. I mean, like,
Oh.
but then I'm like, God damn, we're live. It's so weird. We're live. It is weird to me that we're live on stage and people will just be having a conversation. How it's alcohol. I'm convinced alcohol is so much of it.
I believe that too, because then once they get a little drunk, then they become a different person.
Right.
And a lot of times their manners go out the window.
It's
You
a
know what I
drug.
mean?
It's a drug, and
It's a
people
drug.
like, and it's like you're like, God damn, people really. My favorite is the people that are just like, no, you're doing a good job. Like after they interrupt you, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're just talking.
Yeah. I hate when they go like, I'm helping.
I know.
That one makes my head pop off. I'm helping you. Fuck
Yeah.
you. I don't need no Ed McMahon up here. You know what I mean?
It's like it was a woman in the front row at the comic strip, and she was just translating every joke loud as fuck to her mom. Every joke, just loud. And I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm translating." I was like, "Well, maybe you should sit in the back or something." And then she goes, "Why don't you just do your little show?"
Whoa.
So I do a thing. I trash her real hard, and then I go, "Translate that to your fucking mom," and I got them right back.
Yeah.
But God, it's insane.
It's bummer.
Because it's like, I feel like that's the thing we're so sensitive to, where people are like, you're weird, or like, whatever. It's like, we get taken advantage of so much early on in so many odd ways and ways that affect the ego, and ways that affect, that affect you emotionally. We're sensitive, obviously, to do this. And then, yeah, I mean, it makes us skeptical of who we're dealing with, of audiences, but you got to go up and just treat everyone like they're going to be great.
Has your style changed since you started? Like, what was your initial style,
Yeah, my style has definitely changed, I think, because when I started, I was handing out flyers and stuff, and I was kind of like,
Were you barking? You were barking, huh?
Yeah, for a while,
yeah.
for a few years. And then I remember I'd go on, I just didn't, when you're that young, you don't know what you're trying to say and who you are, but you've got this angst and you don't know what it's about. And I think I would say stuff that would provoke people, and it wouldn't always be in the right. Like I look back, I'm like, I shouldn't have done it that way, but that's the only way you learn,
right.
And I definitely, like, you look at, I've started this on a million podcasts, but like you look at your childhood, my mom's so prim and proper that I definitely, I reacted to that in my comedy, where it was like, no, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Because I want to say this. And then
push
I think
buttons just to push buttons.
Yeah, but then it became more than that. It became like, well, this is, I think, deep down a part of who I am. And you become a little, like, I think I became nicer as I became happier. And I think every comic becomes happier over time when it starts to go better.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you experiment and you're doing these jokes that are, you feel pushing it a little bit, and crowds get mad at you because they're bad crowds. It's weird because at the mics, they pay more attention to a dark joke because they're so jaded. That's the only thing that gets their attention.
Yeah, you're right.
But then at the bad show starting out, they're particularly like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
I just paid 2 drinks to hear you make a tasteless abortion joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're like,
yeah.
well, you have a point. And then, so yeah, my style definitely changed. I think, you go through things and you get questioned, and you are around different types of people who think different ways, and they question your style of comedy.
And you change as a human.
Of course. Yeah, you grow. I think you hopefully become a better person, a more patient person. And
comedy has definitely made me a better person, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like, like when I see shitty people in the crowd,
yeah,
I'd be like, I don't want to be a shitty person. And if I'm yelling at them, I realize when I start to do something shitty somewhere, I go, I don't want to be that person I hate when I'm, at a show, doing a show.
Totally.
So, and also, you got to, to me, I always root for everyone to get somewhere. And early on, I would see people.
You do seem like that. You seem like a genuinely.
I just love that when people get something, because I know, to me, it's the comics should be against. It's the comics in the industry.
Right.
Because the industry is what fucking chews us up and eats us up, and
it's like getting mad at a basketball player for getting a huge contract. It's like, you're mad at him for accepting a huge deal?
Yeah, well, I think like it should be us as a team. Like, oh, maybe you don't like that guy's comedy or his style or whatever, but hey, man, he's still out here in this fucking brutal world, and we're all here. Let's just try to, hope that people get some stuff, and it's only good for comedy. Somebody gets big, then it drives people into a room where they might see you, you know?
Yeah, I'm just cautious of people who I think have impure motives or I think aren't particularly good people, but you're right. I mean,
I'm different on that. Believe me. I mean, I know, like, I'm not saying shitty people should be, but what I'm saying is, like, when somebody good gets something, I'm like, oh man,
For
and I'll
sure.
tweet about it. And
well, that's for comedy. Like when you're like, that's a good person.
Yep.
That's someone who's working hard, and that's someone who's got good comedy. Of course, you got to root for that.
Totally.
Because yeah, I mean it's tough, and you know it's tough, and you see people fighting every night, and especially like the winters here, you're like, oh man, it really got to have some heart to stay in this. Some of those nights walking freezing. I mean, even in the heat like this, you're like, God damn,
it's crazy today.
But you know, but that's what it's all about, is about putting it in. And that's why it's rewarding when you get stuff, because when you are putting night after night, you know, like I look at, you know, I was talking to Mark Norman today, who I known for so long, and you're like, God damn, we were bouncing bits for a while. And it's interesting because his ideas are so much more sophisticated than when he started. He takes such bigger swings, and I love that.
Yeah,
and
he's so good.
Well, it's funny to see people grow like that, where like I knew Mark, he was always funny, but I mean, you know, it's fun to watch people just become so polished. We're like, fuck, we're adults. I knew when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I remember seeing him the first time ever at the Creek in the Cave in a white T-shirt, talking about video games. I was like, that was kind of funny. And then you find out, like, oh, that's not even who he is. He's just experimenting.
Right.
He's not like a video game guy.
Yeah.
You know, but that's where you find your voice.
You're right.
So yeah, of course you root for people. Of course it feels good. I mean, I remember when your friends, I mean, Mackie did Fallon, you're like, I mean, I would never tell him he did a good job, but you know,
yeah,
never to his face. But no, but he, you know, it was cool. It was cool to see you, because we see it on the front lines and the ground floor. I mean, it's funny, I use all these like military expressions.
It's true, though.
We really have to take it down a notch, maybe.
Well, it is, no, man, it is a battle.
When you're in the trenches of the war.
When you're out, well, you're in the subways and you're walking at night.
And you have PTSD.
Yeah, and you're shell shocked from that bombing. You know, there's no one to talk to. You're at home like, I bombed.
But it is like, right, there's such dramatic expressions, all of them. But dude, it feels so good when you get those W's, man, because it's every night. You think about all those late nights. I mean, especially you're at the Cellar now. It's like, how many nights you get a spot at like 12:10 a.m. for years and years, and you know, Comedy Store, same shit, right? It's So I don't know, and I also feel like so many of us give up a chance to live a normal life. You're talking about relationships. I mean, maybe if you had a different job, maybe you'd be married with kids. You never know. But this eats into that. Yeah.
You know, I never had that in my blood. So thank God that I've had something that is means that much to me. Because I know some great family people, and I'm like, oh, that means a lot to them. You know what I mean? They really love their kids and everything they're doing. And thank God I found something that means a lot to me. You know, because or else you're just kind of. I know a lot of people that just bounce around in the world in their life and just don't really know what they want to do. Even in their 40s and 50s. You're like, wow, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a trip, right? Like they'll be like, well, I don't know, I got this job when I was like 28 and I don't really like it. And now I'm like, well, dude, you're 55.
I know.
You know? And like, well.
I'm finding myself. You're 43.
Yeah. It's like, what? I bought a boat and a car and a jet ski and a summer home and
those material people and you're like, you feel bad because you're like, oh, you're searching for something that's not there.
Trying to fill holes.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, there's something about that. We're all trying to fill something, I guess, like the bitch right now. I mean, obviously, I want happiness with a woman at some point. Like, I want that. You never wanted that?
Well, you know, I don't feel it's fair to what I'm going to do to them. Which means...
But don't you think the right woman would understand or no?
I think the right woman would understand for a while. But then we're just gone.
Yeah.
We're gone every night, and then our brains are just constantly working. So
Yeah.
I can't go, if I go out with someone and I'm hanging, my brain doesn't turn comedy off, unfortunately.
Right.
I could with music. Music is different than comedy, where you're not constantly trying to write music all day long. It's not until you put instrument on and kind of start going through the motion. But with comedy, you're walking, you're taking in information, and then you're trying to turn that into something in your mind. It's just in this comedic mode all the time. Where music, you're like, oh yeah, we'll go to the studio next week. We'll start writing a record. That's really how you do it.
Damn.
You know, so you can turn it off. You come home from tour, you're like, you're not going to get rusty. You know,
Interesting.
You got to just relearn the songs a little bit. Like, hey, how'd that solo go? Is it DGC? Yeah, no, okay. You're not going to be all rusty like, oh, they're, you know, after a couple of days of playing the songs, you're up and going. You know, where comedy, if you took a couple weeks off, man, it would take a couple weeks to even get going again.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that.
I can't
I think
either.
it would just be too painful. Like, I see people get writing jobs, and to me, I'm like, long term, you may make a little extra money in the short, but long term, you're hurting yourself because, I mean, if you want to be a comic, if you want to be a writer, then absolutely. But if you want to be a comic, because the idea of restarting feels really scary to me.
I can't.
I'm not restarting, but and I think I have to shake that a little, because what you said, what Bill Burr said is true. We do have to live a little bit. And like, that's the thing, like, a woman could open up parts of you that are not there comedically and as just a person, because you're like, well, I need some of my favorite jokes are relationship jokes, and those didn't feel good, but the jokes, they make them feel better, you know?
Yeah.
So I got to give it another shot at some point.
I'm down with it. I'm not closed off to it at all. But
you're not putting it out there.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you know, to me, it's like, I think when you've had like one good woman, it raises the bar so high, you know.
You don't want to settle.
Oh, yeah, well, I lost a good woman from music, being gone for years. And so I think that's also a scary thing of like, ooh, what if I get another good one finally? And then I lose them because all of a sudden my career's starting to happen or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you know, and I still think once in a while about that woman. And that was fucking, what am I, 52? That's like 30 years ago, dude.
You got to start a new chapter, man. 30
you know,
years?
When you had one great relationship, you know. I don't know. I've had some good relationships, but I always know that they're not going to last because it's going to be like, are you going out again tonight? Again?
But I think the right woman's going to understand. I would hope. But I could be wrong. I've been there too, where you're right, early on. For some reason, dinner is a sign of stability. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like breakfast and lunch, not so much. But dinner, it's like, that's like what you do as a family. So that's when a woman's like, oh, could he be a family guy? It's like, it's almost like a test. But not all women are like that. I've dated women who were okay with it and supportive, but it ended for different reasons.
Oh, I think they're cool with it. I just feel like I feel bad. Like, fuck, I gotta go. I'm not gonna see them, man. And I want them to find one that's gonna be good. Yeah. I don't want to be the one that blocked them from finding the good one.
But it's their choice to be with you if they're with you.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes, you know, people get a little confused. Like, eventually he'll probably stop this or whatever, you know.
Well, that's on her, because if you're telling her you're not,
I don't know, yeah. I don't know. It's just life.
Them making assumptions is not on you.
Yeah. It's life, you know.
Yeah, I'll find someone again. I mean, it's been like, it's weird because there's so many breakup jokes in this special that I just put out, and like some of them I think about, they just make me laugh because you're like, God, that's so fucking stupid. Like what you go through with a breakup, like how much it hurts and how much, like I was so dramatic. I remember I was out there, I did a whole Conan set about her dumping me, and we were hanging out that night, and I like tried to hold her hand, and she like pushed it away. She's like, you just did a TV set about me dumping you, and I was like, that's fair. Oh, I felt bad. I was mad at her, man. She'd broken up with me twice.
Oh man, I could always get someone just so I could get some material like that, I guess.
It definitely
get out there, man. As Bill would say, get out there and live your life. Get your art trampled on, and
well, it makes you to live gives you material, man. It sounds so corny, but just
It really does.
Those are the people you talk about how much you love prior. That guy lived a full fucking 65 years.
100%.
Like that was real. I mean, I'm not saying go out there and
No, smoke crack. But I have done all that. And
Have you?
Yeah, I want to figure out how to get in some drug talking. And I'm doing drugs now. I'm not doing drugs now. I'm doing drug material now. And it's starting to work because I've got the confidence to do it. I remember doing drug material 2-3 years ago, and people would just be like, oh, now I'm like, yeah, fuck you guys. You know what I mean?
yeah, if you have the right angle, people are they're gonna jump on, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like I hear, Phil Hanley talking about acid, and I was like, he would mention it occasionally, but I'm like, you got to talk about that. That's hilarious. You're like this kind of prim and proper former model who is a deadhead acid guy. I mean,
Yep.
I think it's kind of fun.
I'm all for drugs. I'm trying to work a bit right now where I'm like, they say, in school when you're young, they say no to drugs. I think they should have a year in school where they train you, drug training. Then you won't fuck up later.
That's interesting, yeah.
So you learn how to take the drugs so you never fucking be an idiot.
And it's optional.
It's optional. It's
the
like
cool kids will take it.
Yeah. It's like one time I interviewed Dweezil Zappa, and I said, you guys never got into drugs, any of the Zappas? And he was like, yeah, because our dad just said, hey, go ahead and take drugs. But this is, you can see my audience. A lot of them are on drugs. And Dweezil was like, oh, some of those people are idiots. I don't want to.
That's how you make drugs uncool. You allow it in school.
Yeah.
That's when everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to do drugs. I'm going to get a wheatgrass shot.
Yeah.
You're going to do the thing that they don't give you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if I had the type of mom that would smoke with me, I'd be like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's all about, so much of life is just what's forbidden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like people that smoke weed with their parents, I'm always like, that's weird as fuck.
Who the hell wants to do drugs with their parents?
Not me, man. I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. Yeah, me and my dad, we getting a little high. We go fishing. I'm like, no.
I had an old joke where I'd say when I was young, the cool dad would be the one who did drugs with us. Now I'm older. Turns out he wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Turns out he was the guy who did drugs with children.
Yeah, right?
But, it's so true. You're just like, what the hell is this guy thinking?
Yeah.
He's an adult. I mean, you have those kids growing up, those kids there's always that one kid who's got the parent who like is there at the party.
Oh, yeah.
And she thinks she's doing a service, but you're like, no, this is illegal. You got to get the fuck out of here.
Oh, my buddy's mom dealt blow. That's who we bought it from. It was so weird. So sometimes we'd be at his house on the weekend just huffing lines, and his mom's upstairs. I would go, hey, we're out. And he'd go upstairs, and yeah, we owe her 100 now. It's like, this is so weird.
100? Dude, I just sniffed the line off your mom's rack.
It was so bizarre, though, man.
That is so weird. It's yeah, dude. I was never a big drug guy. I like to drink. I drink on the road a lot, but it's mostly out of boredom. And it's like the hangovers. I know I'm still young, but they're really
starting to get brutal.
Well, there's a time where it's really hurting. Like there was a time where I can kind of tough it out, and now I'm like, I have depression, so I can't. It just takes it to another level, and I don't want to be. I want to be happy. Happiness and health to me mean more as I get older.
Are you a music guy?
We've talked about this, like just hanging out. I think like there's the groups I really like.
Yeah.
I don't obviously know that much about it. And when I talk to someone like you, I fear that I'm going to sound like a complete moron, because it's almost like talking comedy with someone who just doesn't know comedy.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, you like that guy? But like, not that I'm like judgy like that, but I mean, a little.
Yeah.
Little bit.
You're a judgy guy on comedy,
yeah. Well, yeah,
because
I care about it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So,
exactly.
like, I mean, there's the people I love. Like, there's the people I listen to. Like, there's like certain people that get me fired up. There's certain people that like during breakups, like, of course, I'm on like a Leonard Cohen, Bob Dylan kick always when something happens. Yeah, I mean, if it's good, I love it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
How about you? I mean, like with music, it's just. I mean, I feel like it's part of who you are. It's part of your personality.
Totally. I played music, for all my life, and I think, thank God I did that, because it's helped me so much with my comedy. It's got me where I'm at.
What way has it helped comedy the most?
I think writing and timing. Music is
really interesting.
Music's drummer, you're fun, and comedy, the audience is your drummer. meaning the laughs.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow, like rhythmic. Yeah. That's
100%.
so interesting. Yeah.
And that's how you really get timing going and waves and flow and rhythm, is from the audience. They become your percussion.
Wow.
So I learned that big time of how not to speed up. When you're playing music, you don't want to push the drummer. You don't want to drag the drummer. The drummer's the tempo, and sometimes you'll try to push him a little bit, like he's dragging here or whatever, but he's feeling natural, and that's how you got to feel the crowd. Like sometimes they're not laughing boom, 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 so you can't just keep fucking rifling through. You got to make an adjustment,
Wow, that's so interesting. I guess I just don't, and it's crazy that I never really thought about that, but how much a drummer really feeds off a live audience.
Absolutely. That's why sometimes you go to concerts and you go, man, these songs are cooking. That's because the crowd's good and the drummer's fired up. Like, yeah. And other times you're like, oh, these songs are slow as fuck. Like this year, The Dead, everything was really slow. And I was like, man, why are they this slow?
And the crowd was bad, you thought?
Well, no, they weren't bad. Maybe they were just older and high and just kind of like, all right. And maybe the band's getting older or whatever,
Sure.
But it's all different things. But I did learn everything about comedy is timing.
It's so much.
It's not only timing on telling the jokes, but timing in your career. Timing when stuff happens for you, like
Patience is huge.
I was going to do hoping to do Conan in 2015, and JP was like, yeah, send in your set, and I got ran over on my motorcycle a month later.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I could never send in a set, and then months went by, and I think back now, and it's all timing of like, oh God, I didn't send that set in.
It was Jay Leno who ran you over.
Yeah. But no, I was fat. And the jokes weren't, they were good, they big laughs, but they weren't me like I am now. Like the stuff I did on Conan on Monday, I really love that stuff, and it's kind of my voice.
Well, you're interesting because you're one of the few guys who started this late, who it's going really well for. And it's when you start this late, it's like you have a full idea of who you are as opposed. So it's like comedically you're a little behind.
Yeah.
But as a person, you come in just having much more awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Michael Che started, he was one of the only people I saw that I was like, wow, he really knows who he is so much. I was really like envious of it.
Right.
I was already a working act when he came on the scene. He was like an open micer, and I was blown away by how funny he was out of the gate and how he felt like much more. He's probably a couple years older than me, but he felt like much more of an adult than me.
Yeah, more seasoned. I felt like that about Metallica when I was playing music. They, because they would, they were in the same club as me, so they would go to Europe for summers, and they would come back. And I say this all the time where I thought they were way older than me,
That's funny.
But now that I look at it, they're only 2 years older. But it was just from all that travel and life and living where I just lived in, one city. They had seen many cities. They had seen many scenarios and lived in buses and floors and all that. So they were just so worldly. And they're only 2 years older. They had like sideburns and shit. You're like, whoa, these guys are way older and shit. I'm like, oh, they were only 2 years older.
It's funny. It's not just like it makes you a little haggard in appearance sometimes, but it also there's a way you carry yourself. It's like when there's some road comics. This guy I love, Paul Hooper, and he's got just like the road comic bags under his eyes. He's always got a cig in his mouth, and I'm like, that's comedy.
Yeah.
There's something about it. He rolls up in his Ford. You're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But it can't be pleasant. I feel like he's on the road a lot.
I always feel like Dave Attell is comedy to me. When I see him, I go, okay, he's got the outfit.
Oh, he's the funniest.
He's got the, everything is it's like there's no outside shit. It's just here he comes. It's Dave,
There's no fat ever on anything he says.
Yeah.
He's created his own language. He's incredible. I mean, he was such a big, I was such a big fan of him growing up. So it's crazy to be friends with him. It's crazy to know him and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would never tell him this because he would fucking cringe if I ever told him. But I have a playbill from Caroline's when I was like 18 or 17 when I went to go see him, and he signed it for me. I still have it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And but he can't. He's so humble, man. He can't take compliments. He really he must know on some level how great he is.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't suffer fools. I mean, he's really so smart and quick, but he can't take compliments. I remember we were doing a road gig once, and I asked him who his favorite comics was, and he mentioned Hicks as one of his favorites growing up. And he asked me who my favorites were, and I said, you and Greg Giraldo. And he just fucking... I could tell he didn't like it.
Yeah, right. It's just like, he's like, you're fired.
He did not get. He's funny, man, because he's like that. You say he's like that classic comic. For some reason, the cigarette feels very comic to me.
Yeah.
And part of it is like timing, right? You take your puff after you get a laugh.
Of course.
Part of it is, it's like an irritable thing. Like you're constantly, like there's that irritable thing that feels very comic. Like the person who's always annoyed, and that's what cigarette smokers are.
Yeah.
You know, they need something.
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of that, it's like, I don't know, it feels so New York on top of it, maybe.
Yeah, he definitely feels rock and roll to me. Like, to me, he's the Ramones of comedy.
Whoa.
I really believe that.
Brevity, right?
Yeah, you know.
Quick.
Yeah. And just so authentic. Like the Ramones, they were never going to go out and do ballads or anything. You know what I mean? Like, Dave's not going to change, you know, like they're not going to come around and go, you know, Dave, we got a sitcom on CBS. If you would just do this and that, he'd be like,
oh, no way.
Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? He is like the Ramones of comedy, man.
Dave, yeah, you're right. He will never change. I remember Ari Shafir once told me a story that Ari pushed Dave, please do my storytelling show. Just do it. And Dave said, all right, fine. He like finally caved, and Dave just shows up and just keeps telling jokes and goes, that was a story about a midget who did, you know?
Oh my God. Oh, that's so great. Did he do that?
Yeah. And Ari was like, it was hilarious, but you know, I wanted to see him tell a story. But you can't, I mean, Dave is who he is. And that's part of what makes certain people great is certain people are great because they grow with the times and they evolve, and certain people are just amazing at what they do. And Dave is so great at what he does. I mean, road work is like, you can watch that on Netflix, watch it. It's perfect. It's talk about like rock and roll comic.
Total rock. I feel he's 100% rock and roll without looking rock and roll at all, which is great, you know, because he's got the danger. He's got you don't know what's going to happen. You know you're going to laugh, but there's going to be some dark stuff. And he's got tons of mystique, which is really rare.
I think mystique is good. Yeah, I mean, look, we all share a little too much. I think mystique is good. It's like all these shows where we overshare, and it's like, I think having a little mystique is nice.
I do too.
I don't know. I really don't think he sleeps. I hope he's healthy. I
know. When's the special coming out?
September 14th. I'm pretty pumped, man.
Comedy Central?
Comedy Central, 11 p.m. And then it's gonna be no login necessary on the Comedy Central website from September 30th to November 30th. So,
how fucking cool is it to get on a subway and see your poster?
I haven't seen him yet. People are sending them to me.
Oh yeah, they're around. They're sending. Joe Mackey's making sure he flips you off on all of them. I love that.
It's
dog.
It's cool. It's like stuff for your parents. You know what I mean?
I know.
Where it's like they realize that I'm doing something. That it's not just. I mean, they know I'm doing well or whatever, fine, whatever.
But it's so cool.
But it makes them happy. And look, it's cool. I'm from here, so it's cool to see.
There's a giant one by the store.
Oh really?
Oh
yeah, someone showed me that one. Yeah,
That's a giant one, dude.
Well, it's it's cool for New York. Something about New York. It's like, you know, I had a sports show and my face was on the Garden for a while, and I was like, that was fucking crazy because I'm such a big Knicks fan. So like little things like it doesn't. It's not like the things that mean the most to me are the new material, but like having a thing come out and like having people hopefully want to see it, and I hope they like it is definitely cool. I hope people watch it, man. It's I put a lot of work into it. Like, you know, we all do. We burn these things. It's a lot of ourselves, and there's I think there's a range of material in it, and there's a lot of punchlines. It's a fun special.
That's kick ass, man. All right, so it'll be out on the 14th. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is fun. It's fun talking to you.
So great to hang with you all summer, and it's been
I'm glad we met.
And let's pump your podcast too.
I have a podcast. You're going to be on one coming out soon.
Yeah, we just did it.
The Keeping Joe podcast. Man, Mackie he's going to make some edits on that one, unfortunately, because he collapsed. Yeah, we're all pretty pissed off about it. But
It was great though.
I mean, Mackie.
It was great.
Just shithouse wasted.
I loved it.
Keeping Joe podcast. It's on anywhere you can get a podcast. I think.
Yep.
It's me, Phil Hanley, Joe Mackey, and the Comedy Cellar manager Liz, who's amazing. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of weird, wacky songs, and we got this musician to play it, and we just act like we do the songs to keep us. So many pods get so. Bearing your soul sometimes. So it's like we just want to be silly.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And it was fun to go on there. I sang "Turn the Page."
Oh my God, that was
on a lone, lonesome highway east of Omaha with Joe Mackey.
I hope he keeps that in. Jesus,
he's trying
Joe,
to keep
better.
that in.
We're gonna fight him. Joe is. It's called keeping Joe because Joe's anxiety prevented him from doing any radio for years.
Oh, really?
And getting him on this was a chore.
Yeah, he's great.
So he's great. So we hope but it's it's like one step at a time with Mackie.
Yeah,
so I hope he keeps it in.
Well, thanks for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
And you got Instagram, Twitter, all that,
Yeah,
right?
it's just my name, Sam Morril, Morril.
And the special on, what's it called?
It's called Positive Influence.
Yeah.
It's on, I have another album, if you like that, called Class Act, which is on, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. And this is called Positive Influence. And it's, I think you'll like it. Watch it.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, guys. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and Twitter. Leave reviews and all that. And you can check out my Conan set. It's on iTunes right now. And thank you, everybody. And make sure you watch Sam's special, man, and spread the word. See you guys. Candles lit.